Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of CSM Talks podcast. Today we have Anunay with us, who's working as a senior customer success manager at MoEngage. And today we are going to understand from him his journey of landing this job and some tips from the ones who have taken it. Thanks a lot, Anunay, for being a part of the podcast today. How's Sunday treating you?
Hey Ankit, thank you for having me here today. It's a great Sunday morning start, as I just mentioned. Something new to discuss with, something interesting to discuss with, and I'm looking forward to share my experience with the new budding CSMs who are coming in. If they can learn something from my previous experience as well, and how I landed into the customer success. Additionally, I also was looking forward to meet you in person as well over the call. We have been connected from quite a while now.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I think the customer success community is pretty active here right now. We have, I think, a couple of WhatsApp groups, and there is a lot of things happening on LinkedIn. So it's great to meet with folks and share the stories with the people who are currently in their job search journey. Because when people reach out to me and when I connect with them on my weekly mentoring sessions, one question is pretty common that, hey, I've already interviewed with three companies. I've been in this process for, say 5 months or 6 months. Should I just give up, or what should I do? And the very common thing is to understand how much time it's taking for the others as well uh, to make it or to land a new job here. The market conditions are a little bit, I would say, tough now. The competition is there's a lot of competition there, so that's why I thought it will be great to have folks like you who have already made it, who have landed a job very recently, to understand what worked for you, and for that also to get inspiration for the others who are currently in that process. So, Anunay, if you can give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself, about your customer success journey, and then we'll take things from there.
Sure, Ankit. So I started off as a sales manager and from Byju's, and that was from a B2C perspective. From there, I had a few experiences on as an entrepreneur as well. With by 2019 and 2020, when the COVID hit, I had a few hiccups there, and I had to face some of the challenges in transitioning from an entrepreneur or from a self-owned business to something coming back to a working style and a professional work, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Coming to transitioning from that space, that was one of the major challenges in my job search as well, because that is something that I had to portray in a different manner. How my experience as a entrepreneur or an ex-entrepreneur can help you in that specific job role or your company. Now, coming to transitioning to customer success, that was very interesting for me. So I had applied for a sales manager again, being coming from the
Mhm.
sales background. And my idea was that, yeah, I'll get into B2B sales management. I had a few years of experience in B2B sales as well. But yeah, the idea was to get into sales. But when I was interviewing, while my interview process itself, the CEO suggested that why don't you apply for customer success? Because you do have that kind of a composure for the client, towards the client. You have that kind of an empathy towards the client. And one of the things in my previous sales experiences were that I do like to make sure that the customer or the client is achieving some value from whatever I'm selling to them, right? So that was
Mhm.
the my mindset as a sales manager. But we do tend to go aggressive in sales as well. So that's where the disconnect was, and that's when I came across customer success. I believe
Mhm.
that is a more of an value added role, because the customer is already onboarded. They are now looking for achieving value out of the platform or the product that they have bought, and then if they feel that, yeah, there is something additional that they want to add on, then there's an upsell or a cross sell that's coming. So it was more like I was looking at like a more of a post sales role, but later
Mhm.
I realized it's not sales exactly. It is more of a relationship building, rapport building. How you it's all about the retention. It's all about the contract extension. It surrounds around the contract, right? So that was one of the learnings that I have had in the previous years. Now, coming back to my transition period, uh, I was not aware of what is customer success. I was not at all aware what is customer success. What do they do? What are their KPIs or KRAs? What do they follow? Exactly how the role operates, and I had to learn it by myself entirely. Now, one thing I would like to share as my experience is you can't go for the same traditional application process or interview process nowadays. You have to have some sort of uh, uh, an add-on or your way of communicating your skills and knowledge and everything, rather than getting into interviews and scheduling number of interviews. I did apply when I was transitioning from the ex-entrepreneur to the customer success role or looking for job opportunities. Uh, that time I was, as I mentioned, I was not looking for customer success. I was applying for sales roles, business development roles, customer relationship building roles, and I had applied for more than 75 plus uh, interviews, right? But the other approach that I had, other than applying for job roles, I also ensured that I network with those people. So whenever I'm applying for a company, I try to connect with the ex-employee or the current employee, right? Just to understand what's the nature of the role or what's the nature of the company as well internally. Simultaneously, the other thing that I also did when I got introduced to customer success, as I wanted to learn about customer success, I got into community meetups. I networked with leaders, people who are already having years of experience in customer success, who know how the entire role and operation works. And the idea was to learn from them, understand from them what exactly the company or the organization is looking for from my end. As an entrepreneur, the one thing that I had already knew that what is the other side of the table looking for, right? In an interview, what's the decision maker or the CEO, the co-founder is looking for in an employee? What exactly are their expectations? And I used to build it on that in my interview. So whenever I'm going for an interview, I do a in-depth research on the interviewer, on the organization, on the founder, try to go through their LinkedIn profiles, their recent activities, what are they most interested in, and some of the uh, I would say casual topics I would like to take up their activities so that I can break the ice in the initial.
Correct. Yeah.
Those are some of the tactics that I have used in my job search activities. In my recent transition, which happened to Moengage, that is another interesting story because that happened through a pull. I was not applying for Moengage, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and interestingly, this was my third attempt, right? So this was I had already attempted twice in Moengage, and I got rejected, right? And again, obviously, I had no experience of customer success. I was new to the industry, so there was nothing to back me up that yeah, I can be a good resource, right? And while I was working in my previous organization, I started interacting, connecting with people, networking with customer success managers. That's where I interacted with a few more engaged employees, and some of the leaders from more engaged as well. And that's when I started learning from them, understanding what exactly Moengage does, what are the customer success managers doing in Moengage exactly, how are they different from what I am doing currently in my organization. So I actually wanted to implement those strategies in my previous organization, but when I started exploring, the employer, one of the leaders himself, he mentioned that why don't you jump into Moengage? So he poached me in. That was another story I would like to share with the viewers, that it's not just the applications or the openings that you're looking into. If you are visible enough, if you are able to showcase your expertise, your skills and knowledge, there can be a pull as well, because people are looking for hardworking or proactive customer success managers, right? And if your knowledge sharing or your being active on the community, being active on sharing some articles on LinkedIn and those kind of activities gives you a visibility towards these leaders who are looking for those specific people and similar skill sets, right? So that was
Right.
my
Great, great. So this is a pretty inspiring journey, Anunay. I would say I have written down a couple of notes, and I would want to segue into that. First, did your entrepreneurial stint or being an entrepreneur help you get a better mindset into customer success? Did that make it easier for you?
Ankit. I truly appreciate that I had gone through that entrepreneurial journey, because I feel as a CSM or as a customer success manager, you are like a CEO for your client. Okay.
Right.
You become like a CEO for the client because you are the point of contact for them. You have to manage all the departments, not just
Mhm.
it's not just support or the tickets that are coming in, right? You have to manage their contract, their billing, their invoices. If there is any event that is happening, you have to invite them, make sure that you are also available to meet them, build up some pipelines for the coming future. It's like a sales, marketing, uh, finance, legal. So you have to manage all the departments across as a
Everything putting the customer in the center. So, right.
center.
I totally understand it, because when I am working with early stage founders, the mindset that they have, when I am talking to them, or when I am probably exploring a stint with them, it's very easier to connect with them or help them understand why exactly customer success is going to be so impactful, because they are already in every decision making in their entire day-to-day life. They are putting the customer in the center when it comes to finance, when it comes to legal, marketing, sales, of course, definitely the product and all those things. So I believe that was a really good, I'll say, feather on your hat, and that probably goes a long way as well when people go through your resume. But the problem is to cutting the clutter and standing out,
Yes.
because if you today, the situations are so, I would say, and I'm not trying to instill fear in anyone, but if you look at the situation in LinkedIn, and job posting of customer success manager comes up, I think within 1 to 2 hours you already have got about 100 applications, right?
Indeed.
At the end of 1 week, you're looking at around 400 to 500 applications, and then that's what I even tell to people who reach out to me, that you need to figure out a way to stand out from those 400 people and use a different medium. Because if you think the psychology of the HR, or think it from their perspective, you becoming a CSM, the biggest skill that you have at your advantage is empathy and perception, right? If you put yourself in the recruiter's shoes, the recruiter already has 400 applications there,
Correct.
right? And there are definitely about 20 to 30 referrals that are coming internally as well. How do you stand out? That's one of the things, and that is where you become creative.
Indeed.
uh, you can become creative on paper as well, but then it's just a name before they click on that PDF and download it. So how do you even stand out there? So there are a couple of things that definitely helps. What I want to understand is, definitely one point that you mentioned was networking helped. You talk to people within a certain organization. You had already tried twice at More Engaged, then you talked to people, you met them, and probably that helped you understand the culture that they are in, the work environment that they are in, the work that they are doing. Did that help you probably get in front of the leadership when you were approached? Did that help you change the way you present yourself?
So, yes, when I came across their culture, how the overall organization works internally as well as towards their client as well, uh, my approach here, Ankit, was not to look for an opportunity, right? My approach
Mm-hmm.
was to learn. So,
Hmm.
I was trying to learn how they are currently operating within their organization, and if there is a possibility, I can implement that for my team. By the time when I was exploring all this, when I was learning with the More Engaged leaders, I was already leading a team of 5 members, right, as a
Right.
CSM, CSM. And I wanted to implement a few of the QBR structures, some of the upsell pipeline, how the pipelining and farming goes for the upsells and cross sells. So I was trying to explore those aspects from the leaders of More Engage or the other organizations as well. While discussing these, as we progress with our conversation, I understood their mindset. I understood their customer-centric mindset. Why employee CSAT is
Mm-hmm.
also employee SAT is also important rather than CSAT, right? So I understood their perspective, and yes, my interactions changed. Why when I got to know about their culture, how they treat their not just CSMs, I'm specific to CSM, it's across the organization, the value of whatever the employees are putting in, that
Mm-hmm.
is that is very well acknowledged in Moengage. And uh, yeah, it's a super place to work. That's a one line statement, right? And when I got to know that, yes,
Hmm.
my interaction changed. I wanted to know more about how have they implemented it since the start. And one other thing that I got to know is everything comes from the top. It starts top. The leader or the person on the top was on the board. That's where the entire culture drops down and goes to the bottom line, right? So
Right.
uh, the lowest level employee will experience the culture if whatever has been brought down from the leadership. So
True.
I understood that yeah, their leaders are if that kind of a mindset. I really wanted to work with them. I really
Hmm.
wanted to know more them, if not an working opportunity, but I wanted to know more about them. I wanted to meet them, understand how they have built this culture in their organization. And this has been like it's a 10th year right now. It's a 10th anniversary for Mortgage this year, right? And
Right.
this in July. And they have built this entire employee centric and customer centric culture since 9 years. That's
Hmm.
from that's where my way of interaction with the leaders as well, not I would say completely changed, but yeah, my perception towards them changed a lot. And I wanted to be I wanted to learn more about their operations and how have they implemented this entire work culture within their organization.
Right. So in a way, probably having that meaningful conversation with the employees of Mo Engage and with the leadership that you met in the networking event or outside the work environment, that I think that inquisitiveness and asking those meaningful questions probably brought you in front of the leadership, thinking that I think Arunai can be a good addition to my team. Now, coming to the timeline, from the day you had conversation with the leadership at Mo Engage, where you were, asked to pursue an opportunity there. From there till receiving the offer, how much time did that take?
So, since the time when we started off with more meaningful interactions, and
Mhm.
I connected with one of the leaders, very frequently. From there till the time of going for the first interview, it was somewhere on a 3 month timeline.
Okay, okay, got
Uh,
it.
and I would say my initial job search for the customer success or B2B sales roles as well, that took
Hmm.
me somewhere around 6 months easily, right?
Just the job search bit
Just the job.
before landing an interview. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, got it. Got it. That's really great. So when you were preparing for those multiple rounds, and how were you first managing your existing job and preparation for this for the rounds of interviews, because every interview round has a different mindset, has a different I would say piece that you bring to the table. It's a different way that you present yourself. How were you managing the workload from both?
Uh, okay, I would like to highlight this here, Ankit, and for the viewers as well and the listeners.
Hmm.
Uh, the first call with the HR, where that's an introductory call, that is very important. People tend to just give some time that, yeah, I'm up for a call this Thursday or Friday. They don't plan it properly. But I
Hmm.
believe the first call, the introductory call with the HR, is very important to understand about the company, to understand about what their expectation is, to understand what is their expectation in the interview calls as well on the rounds. Simultaneously, the HRs or the person who's planning or who's scheduling the interview calls, they are open to discuss. They are open to your timeline. They are open to adjusting and managing a convenient time for both the parties. So
Right.
you have that bandwidth to plan it up in a way where you get at least one day of free day, which is like can be a Sunday, Saturday, any
Hmm.
working day that you get. For that entire day can be your preparation day for can be any presentation or an assignment that you have. But planning those interview calls in such a way that you get at least one day of free time, as
Right.
well as a 3 days buffer where each day you can give 1 hour each, right?
Hmm.
So 3 hours preparation for the first interview call, the second interview call, where it's just about discussions and talk. But then when it comes to the assignment part, you need to have like at least 4 to 5 days of buffer
Surely.
with one day. So at least 1 week of timeline from the HR that will help. So
Hmm.
discuss all these timelines in the first call of the introductory exploratory call with the HR, that is very important. I mean, that sets the expectations from both the end. And
Yes.
they are also understanding, okay, this is the specific time. Since now you have the time, you need to deliver at that specific time. Whatever you have given the timeline, since you have taken at least some buffers, it is imperative that you miss that out. You cannot miss that timeline because you have already taken that leverage here. But taking that leverage helps you to have that calm and composed mindset that you can work upon your preparation. And it gives you an edge that if there is anything you have missed out while in the previous preparation days, that entire when you're sitting out with all your notes, whatever you have prepared, you might be able to add up something more. So
Exactly. So here, even during the interview process, I would like to put it across that you also act as a true CSM, where you set expectations in the kickoff call with the HR, right? So if you are not able to think on the feet, that I would need X amount of time to do the first round. I would need 3 to 4 days to spread out for my assignments. I would say, like, people have a go-to bag when they go to anywhere for impromptu trips. People keep this ready, pen it down to probably have it as a note on your phone. So when you're talking to the HR, because the call from the HR is the most unexpected one, that is not planned, right? When you get the call from the HR, you can at least open that note and say, okay, I need these many days for this round, so on and so forth. So first, get a download from the HR, how many rounds are going to be there, what is the expectation from each round, and then set the right expectation. So it's purely your onboarding kickoff call, I would say, and then probably imbibing the right mindset and preparing for every call, just as you prepare for any call with a customer. Here, your customer is the organization that you're interviewing with, the leadership. So as you said, Anunay, researching about the organization, understanding what culture do they have, what kind of perspective do they want, because that's very important at every level. Definitely, I am a very big supporter of asking the right questions at the right level. If you are not asking the right questions, a lot of time in the leadership, it comes across as A, either you're underprepared, B, you're not that interested, or C, you don't have a plan. So asking the right questions at the right stage is what I would want to understand your perspective from. What are the kind of questions that you prepare for, say, asking in, I would say, in the assignment round? It can be either a QBR or a business case that they give you, and also in, say, probably the senior leadership round that a VP of success or the head of success will have. What kind of questions you prepare, and how do you figure out that this is the question that probably will get me a better insight and also place me as a well-prepared candidate?
Ankit, here again, my entrepreneurial experience helped me to understand the expectations from each of the level of the leadership which I'm interacting with. So let's say your first round is with the manager at the manager level, who's trying to understand what have you learned about the organization or the product, or what do you know about the product, and something about you yourself as well.
And that's going to report into this manager. I think the first time that happens, right? It's the direct reporting manager that happens. Yeah.
Reporting manager call, right? And since it's a reporting manager call, that's where you need to think about your current job role, wherein what are the challenges that you are facing with your manager or the reporting manager, and try to articulate those into a question and ask the current interviewer, right? Try to understand their perspective in those situations. Let's say if there was a client escalation and you face some challenges because of your reporting manager, or they did not support you in that way as expected, try to articulate that into a question that, hey, what happens, or what are your action items when there is an escalation from the client? What, as a manager, you would do, or you would help me out or assist me with? Simultaneously, asking those generic questions like how many leaves, how many those becomes a very redundant questions from many. That's where you, as you mentioned, right, stand out from that clutter. So it's you're back to the clutter with those same specific questions. Try to be more specific from your role. What are the KPIs? What are the OKRs? How are you giving me incentives on my OKR achievement? Or is it only on upsell or cross sell? Is the upsell or cross sell implemented, or is it within the books? Is it counted within my OKR achievement? or is it as a or something naturally that is happening because of product adoption from the client? So try to understand those questions from the manager, because that is your reporting man. That's the person who's forwarding your entire work, whatever you have done, whatever achievements you have done, to the leadership or to the
Exactly.
broader audience, right?
One more thing that I would want to add here is it is not only about you giving an interview, you are also doing a fitment check or a vibe check with the manager. Because if you end up landing this job, you got it. And probably the pay is also great. But if your manager is someone that you do not resonate with, you're gonna start looking for another job 1 year down the line, probably,
Exactly.
or even earlier, or even before. So I would say it's a two-way street. Yes, they are evaluating you for a candidate, but in this round, when you know that this is going to be your direct reporting manager, you would also want to understand how much do you vibe with them, would their working styles, or as you mentioned, handling escalation, would that they are saying that they would probably put in that effort. Is that something that you are expecting, even as a CSM, while working with that? So really good point there, Aruna.
And Ankit, also when you are asking these kind of questions, you also get to know one very good point. Well, let's say as an employee or as a new joiner in the organization, there is one hesitance, or you are hesitated to ask stupid questions, right?
Right.
That is one hesitation when you join a new organization or a new company. You tend to articulate which are the stupid questions that you should not be asking, or you might be requiring them, but you might not ask because of the hesitance. But
Right.
when in the interview call, or when in the first interview call with your manager, who's going to be your reporting manager, if you are able to ask those stupid questions, and if they're very open to answer and very happy to answer those questions as well without any hesitance, that's where that connection builds with the manager as well. So in
I
future,
agree.
confident that if you come across any hiccup in the organization, there'll be somebody whom you can reach out to. So that's a confidence for yourself as well.
This question that I want to put it out there. I don't know if there's going to be a backlash about it, but I don't believe there is any question as a stupid question. It can be very simple question. What time do I come in? What time do I go out? Those things, right? Because those are questions for you. You don't have clarity, and nobody is expecting you to know that. So there are no stupid questions in interview or in your normal job life as well. I believe any question you can ask is meaningful, but do not ask the same question again and again. That's where probably the stupidity part comes in. You can ask one question twice. If you're not clear, there's a way of asking that. Pardon me, I didn't get it, or can you explain it further a bit more? But don't ask the same question again and again. And don't ask the same question to all the levels of leadership that you're interviewing with, because they talk.
Correct.
Right, because they do a vibe check, and if they understand, hey, he also asked you about, what are the KPIs, he is asking me about it as well. So either he's not able to understand it well, or probably some other reason it comes out as very weird. So because if I'm taking a round, I would go and talk to my senior manager. I would go and talk to my team lead and understand what was their perspective, and what were the things that stood out. What were the things that are okay or common between all the other candidates. So these things will definitely come up.
Exactly. And exactly, as you mentioned, you cannot go and ask the same KPI or OKR related questions to the leaderships in the third round, fourth round, after your assignments and everything is done, because they already have the entire feedback from all the interview rounds that you have gone through. Right now, when you are already at the leadership stage, the entire discussion should be shifted more towards a business interaction, rather than employee and work and job related questions or discussion as well. I mean, my understanding there is, when you're interacting with the leadership, they are looking into revenue, they are looking into your collaboration within the internal team. They are looking more into how you are quick learner or curious to learn more, right? So those are the things that they are looking into. Can they rely upon you? That is one thing that as a leader they are looking at, because there will be some new projects that might come in. There will be some clients,
Exactly.
some larger clients that might come in, where you might be also required as a helping hand with another CSM. You can be merged with as a team, and taken up lighthouse accounts or enterprise accounts. So in those situations, can they rely upon you if that another CSM is not available, or they are not able to answer to the client? So that is something that you need to showcase to the leadership. Secondly, as I mentioned, learn more about their business at the time of leadership interview. It cannot be same as your reporting manager, because
Yeah.
reporting manager interaction is more towards you and your reporting manager vibe check. But when you go to the leadership level, it's more about your vibe check with the organization, not with that specific person, right? That's where you have to showcase your team building skills, your team management, team collaboration skills, how you are a team player, and how you interact with internal other departments and
Bring out instances where you had probably done some special projects in your existing or current job, or things that you have done out of the box there. It may not be your own brainchild of implementing a new kind of process or strategy, but because you talked to other CSMs or other folks, you drew inspiration and probably you gave that as a suggestion to the management in your current organization, and it helped them achieve XYZ, or even if it got implemented, because that definitely comes out to the leadership as a person who likes taking initiative, who's creative, who's curious, and is not only going to do the job that he is that we're going to tell him to do. Because everybody nowadays is looking for that one person in the team who's going to take it one notch up. Right? Ask the right questions with the senior leadership. What is your vision? Why do you think customer success is very important, say, in Mo Engage? Or, how do you leverage customer success to win new clients at your organization? What are your plans for expansion? How, what has been the journey like in the last 1 year, and where do you want to go in the last 5 years? Instead of the leadership asking that question to you, you ask them, where do you want to go? Because it is very important as a candidate for you to even assess the organization that you are interviewing with, that will this organization help me scale up in that entire level? Because if an organization is scaling up in these aspects, you will definitely have opportunities to move around and to show your skills and move up the ladder.
Indeed, and keep it casual is what I mean.
Yes.
When you're interacting with the senior leadership, they are just there for half an hour. You won't have a long hour call with them. It'll be just for half an hour, 15, 20 minutes. They don't themselves have much time, and they are leaders, right? They are managing a team of 100 people with 3,000 clients within their entire bucket. So they are already stressed. They don't want to jump on another call with being stressed out and having a stressful discussion or something which is very serious. A half an hour chat in their working hour where they are discussing something productive and meaningful, but in a very casual environment that relaxes them as well. That will relax you as well as an participant. And one thing, like I'll give you an example. Like I wanted to understand how I'll be joining the US region. If there is a client who needs a site visit, who needs a face-to-face meeting, right? So how will I enable this? Is there a possibility that I can travel? Will Mo Engage be, or is there any other provision to get that enabled, right? So I wanted to understand this thing from the leadership, but I didn't want to portray in that way that I want to travel, because I am not looking for exactly right now to travel to US. But I wanted to understand if my client
If
is
the situation arises. Yeah.
how is that management going it. So I was very casual with it. I did start off with that discussion when she asked me that what is the question, if you have any questions. My first question was, will I get to travel to US and meet you, meet the team in the US, and also if there's a possibility I can also meet my clients. She's like, I really wish my entire India team is here, because she's a leader, right? She wants to meet the entire team. So she's also looking for some ways where she can meet with her Indian team, and also Indian team can meet with the US team. So she was very open about discussing this. And the moment I stated this question, she loud it out, and I followed up the moment she had a pause there. I followed up the reason why I'm asking this question, and I gave the reason. If this is I'm looking for, where a situation where a client is critical, you need to have a site visit, or if they're requesting for a site visit, how do you manage that? And that's when she explained that if there is a urgent requirement, then someone from the US site can visit them as your counterpart. You can manage them with the call, and that's how the situations can be handled. So I know those integrities, that if I come across these situations with my clients,
Right.
how my leadership is going to help me to attend those with my clients. And that's what they are also looking into. right? They are, as a leader, they would want to know what are the kind of situations you have had faced, and how are you making sure that while joining this organization, those challenges will not be faced again by you. So they also know the what you're trying to ask, what your question is exactly, what you're leading towards, right? And being open and being casual to it, it makes it easier for them to also communicate. That's my
Right, right. Great. Now, I think we are almost towards the end of the segment. One thing that I would want to now understand from you, it's about negotiating your compensation. I would want to understand when you cleared all the rounds and when you had that final round with the HR, where the compensation was being negotiated. How did you go about it? What kind of a research did you do, and what helped you getting, the number that you are happy with?
So Ankit, one thing that I have had was my mentors. I had good mentors from the CS side. So I could understand what is the current market trend, what is the current market brackets for each salary based on the year of experiences. Total year of experience is different. Customer success
Yes.
experience is different. Please try to have these different. Whenever you're applying for an interview, keep that very clear, because that's where the confusion starts. If you might be asking around that, with 8 or 7 years of experience as a CSM, what should be my salary bracket, and the numbers will be way too different as compared
Exactly.
to CSM experienced person, right? So keep that difference first thing. Second, with my mentors, I was able to understand the current stage, what exactly is the market currently going on. Secondly, you need to also check your current requirement. When I was joining as a CSM, my need was that I need to get into a job role. I need to get into job somehow, because right now my business is shut. I need some income. So I need to get into job anyhow. That's where you need to think upon that. Should I go for a higher percentage in terms of CTC, or should I just ask for the bare minimum as of now? And while I'm in the organization, while I'm working, within 6 months, 1 year, I can give that value back,
Right.
present my contribution to the company, and then ask for a raise. That will be have a better. Uh, you will be in a better stage for negotiation at that point, right?
Because you've already proved yourself.
Yes. Now, I'll give you another example here. When I went first organization, within 6 months, I created a 6 month deck, internal deck, and which I shooted just to my CEO. And I was very close to my CEO while working. And in that 6 month of my performance deck, I presented each and everything that each month, what has the change happened. I was handling 35 accounts that time. So I had to build a complete journey of 35 accounts, but I consolidated them in simple dashboards, simple charts, how the graph has gone up in terms of their adoption, their user counts, their data retention or data exchange between the platforms, how I have helped them in some specific critical situations, and the upsells. The last slide was more about upsells, numbers,
Right.
revenue. That's it. The moment my CEO received it, I joined the organization only for 6 months. I had an increment just off. Similar has happened in MoEngage, right? Just after joining, I'm not even 1 year done. Increment has happened. So it's not. And when I was joining MoEngage from shifting from the previous organization, I did not ask for any percentage hike. Whatever I was working with in the previous organization, I asked for the same salary itself. And while I was working, I was able to articulate what I have given back, how I have added value. And since my leaders were all happy, to my surprise, it was not in my cycle. I was not in that appraisal cycle, but they included me in that appraisal cycle. And they're like, he's a new joinee. Let's just cross it off in this cycle itself. But that
Right.
can happen with you if you're able to give back the value and the contribution to the companies. And since you have in those interviews have analyzed the kind of culture or the kind of mindset your leadership has, you already know that they are looking into you. They are already looking in how you are progressing and if there is anything that they can do. So negotiations can happen when you are going for an interview. The negotiation will only happen in what value you will be adding to the organization, and that is your negotiation point. Now,
Right.
completely depends on what is the amount of value that you are adding. If you feel somewhere that the value is not too much, or their response while you're sharing your expertise, skills. The interviewer was not so they were not so curious about everything. You can keep that as on a very lower percentage level rather than asking for a larger hike, because you have to compete with profiles as well, 1,000 of. So it's about just getting in. My idea is
Right.
just get into, if there's an organization you want to get into, just
Hmm.
bar that somehow, and later you can work upon.
You can demonstrate the value ROI as a CSM. Again, you can demonstrate the value and then talk about some kind of an upsell or an expansion in your compensation.
Indeed, yes, exactly.
I think my perspective here is it totally depends upon what your goal is. Say if you are getting a chance to get into an organization that you had dreamt of working with, focus more on understanding what kind of a job it is, what are the benefits and perks, and try to position yourself in something where they're comfortable with the budget and you're not aggressive, because your main goal is to get into that organization. Then you can demonstrate your value and you can ask for the right compensation there. And the second thing is, again, if your mindset is about getting that pay hike, right? Your goal is not actually to get into that organization, but it is probably a designation is happening or a geography change is happening. If you are moving there and your goal is to up your compensation package, then I would say position yourself towards a little bit of a higher end of the bracket, and have a couple of more organizations where you are having similar conversations about, because here it's about a, understanding the culture which fits you, and b, also the one that gives you a better compensation as compared to what you're getting currently. So it totally depends upon what you're looking at with this current job search journey that you're going through. Well, Aruna, I think we are towards the end of this. Your entire journey has been really insightful. I'm sure it's going to be helpful to a lot of folks in the customer success community who are looking for a job. One last question that I have for you is, if you have to, give one tip to the folks who are currently looking for a job on how to stand out from competition. I know we have talked about a lot of strategies in the call. What is that one thing that you would advise them to imbibe?
Have a mentor. That is one simple answer I would give. Your mentor can come from your networking strategy, or if you are having your own visibility, as we are discussing about visibility, if you are posting some articles and everything, and if you come across somebody who can guide you through ahead, get in touch with them, build a relationship with them. Coming from the sales, sales is more, I would say, besharam. So we are very, we don't have any filters over there. So have a hunch on it. Just stick with him. Understand each simple nitty-gritties about the job role, or the kind of role that you want to get into, or the industry you want to get into. Understand from, because they are, if let's say there's somebody that you found who has 10, 15 years of experience or 20 years of experience, they will know a lot rather than what is there on the books or on internet or somewhere else, right? Because their practical experience is much higher than what is written down or is noted down already. So have a mentor. That's my one answer. Yes.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Anunay, for your time today and sharing your journey. I'm sure this is going to be great, and I look forward to having more such sessions with you in the future.
Same here, Ankit. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great Sunday morning. Looking forward for more discussions and your podcast as well. Great work on the CSM talks. I'm very diligently following your activities on CSM talks. Great initiative. Thank you so much for bringing that up. The website looks great. I'm looking forward for the podcast release and the series as well. Thank you.
That brings me to one last point before ending our conversation. Folks, if you're still listening towards the end of this segment, the State of Customer Success Job Search Report entries are still open. We are still accepting entries from folks who have recently landed their jobs. So please definitely share your jobs stories. Anunay was one of the contributors to the report in that survey. And from there, I connected with him and I could make such great content with him, understand his journey. So please do fill in that. It'll help us create the report. It'll help the community as well. And if you are willing to do a podcast with me, I'm going to reach you out on LinkedIn and we're going to set up a time and do something similar. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.